Your opponent is me!
With this build, Season 1 Asta can become a great DPS character, but with the correct skill pages, talents, team comps, and stats, he can become an absolutely broken DPS. Okay, so let's start off with all of the best skill pages that you can currently use on Season 1 Asta. So let's start off with his best in slot, which is going to be Chief's Appearance, and obviously this is going to be his best in slot, as it's the skill page made specifically for him, as because of the buffs to Wild Dance, of giving himself a level 2 attack increase instead of a level 1 attack increase is really beneficial, as well as a 30% increased mobility or stamina buff instead of what would be before 20%, makes it really good. And then not only that, he then gets an additional 12% crit damage just from the passive skill alone. And then at max dupes, this crit damage can be raised all the way from 12%, it can then be doubled all the way to 24%. And then some other fantastic ones, we have Lion Spirit from Leopold, as you can get up to 15% all attack buff, and this is probably one of the best, if not the best, attack increasing skill page that we have in the game, as it can go all the way up to 30%. Lick's Condemning Light is also a fantastic skill page, as it gives you an attack increase, which is really good, as well as a crit rate increase, which is also fantastic. Then we've got Fuegoleon's skill page, Respectable Rival, which is fantastic because it gives you a 12% increased damage dealt when your HP is equal to 50% or higher, which is also another fantastic flat damage increase. So now on to some more free-to-play skill pages. So to start things off, we have the Captain's Dignity. This is also going to be one of Asta's best ones, as allowing himself to increase his own crit rate is going to be fantastic. Another fantastic free-to-play skill page is going to be Sea Serpent's Pride, as this is Solid Silver's skill page. This is going to be absolutely fantastic, as on level 1 it will give you a 7% flat crit rate increase. And then in terms of non-character specific ones, we have Breath of Darkness, which is a fantastic one as you get it for free, and this is just going to be a 10% all attack increase. And then finally, a very underrated, a very good SR skill page is going to be Mysterious Ancient Book, as this is going to give you a 7% damage dealt increase, which can then be increased all the way to 12%, which is going to be flat and it will be permanent. So you're pretty much, you've got Fuegoleon's passive at level 1, but completely for free and also permanent. So next up we have talents, and talents are going to be one of the most important things, especially for Asta, in increasing his stats and allowing him to do as much damage. So for all of the attack talents, what you're going to want for Asta is you're going to want attack percent of 7%, just the increased attack one, and then you're also going to want Sharp Mind for an extra 5% damage dealt increase. Then for defense talents, it's pretty much the same as every character. You want the 20% defense increase, and then you want the endurance one as well to get more defense and crit resistance as well, as all the other ones surrounding each other just aren't very good and they're not very useful. And then for support talents, Swiftness is going to be the best one for him, just to get his SP even higher so he can use his ultimate and rock as many extra attacks as he can. And then you can literally pair it with the increased damage resistance so he blocks more and stuff like that. And then also the HP recovery received is also completely fine as well. So now on to team comps, and just like Reggiami, he's also going to have some very similar team comps, as they kind of work in similar ways. So let's start off with the supporters for him. So just like in my Reggiami video, Finral and Vengeance are going to be the two best supports for him, as they all both have attack increases, and then Finral has speed increases, as well as some other things like crit rate increases and stuff like that as well. And then Vengeance as well, being able to increase his speed, giving damage reduction, counter attacks, attack increases, and stunning. Yeah, Vengeance has got a lot. And then for tanks, I would actually really recommend Radis. Radis is fantastic, as being able to allow your team to be immune to debuffs is going to be really handy, as well as giving defense increases as well. Just like in my Yami video, Mars is also completely perfectly fine. But let's say you can go ahead and use Radis, so what then can you then pair him with? So it's pretty much at this point you can literally throw in anybody you want. I'd recommend some kind of debuffer would be really handy, like Lotus would be fantastic for the speed reductions. Then you've also got Charlotte as well for defense shredding and also marking as well, so your Asta can absolutely spam turns and pop off. Rill is also fantastic for being able to stun. He's very good for that. You can put in the Season 1 Mimosa if you wanted to heal and revive people as well, which is really good. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. I think those are definitely the best characters for you to currently use with Season 1 Asta. So now onto the best gear sets. Again, just like Reggiami, we're going to go with the Ominous gear set on a 2-piece. You're going to be wanting this piece right here, as well as this piece, and then you're going to want the main stats of every piece to be only attack. And then we're also going to pair this with Secret of the Deep Sea, as considering Asta isn't a totally crit-based unit, he can afford to actually remove some of the crit rate or crit damage or whatever, and he can then afford to put it into speed so he can then pop off in PvP. So then with those two gear sets, you could then pair those two with either Noble's Inheritance for the extra crit rate, or you can then pair it with Resolute Judge, as the crit damage is also very valuable. So I mentioned before as to why you always want attack, and that is you do not want any magic attack on Asta, so let me explain why. As just like in the show or the manga, Asta does not have any magic whatsoever, and this will also apply in-game. As you can see by his offensive stats here, he has 15,839 attack at level 100, but 0 magic attack. And obviously this is because, like I said before, Asta has no magic, so he has no magic attack in this game. Which is why, once again, you're going to only want attack on your substats and also your main stats for your gear pieces as well. And then also for substats, just basically the same thing as always for pretty much most DPS characters in this game. For Asta, you're going to want attack percent, etc. And then you're going to want crit rate and crit damage as well, which will help him a lot. So I've gone over practically everything in how to make Asta very, very good, but how about his actual kit? What about his kit actually makes him really good? So let's start off with his skill 1 cross slash. This is a single target skill, just like all of his other skills in his whole entire kit is pure single target damage, making him a single target specialist. And at level 1, this is going to have damage ratios of 100% of his attack, and that is it. And then the other effects of this skill is basically whenever he has a buff on himself, he has a 50% chance to deal an extra attack, which will inflict damage equal to 70% of his own attack, and then he also grants himself a 2% increased damage dealt buff, which stacks up to 5 times, and then this will not go away. Onto skill 2, Wild Dance. This is going to be another single target skill with damage ratios of 135% of his attack, and then the extra effects are going to be just before you attack, Asta is going to grant himself a level 1 attack buff, which will be of 42%, and then that can be increased to level 2 with his skill page, and then he'll also have an 80% chance to grant himself a 20% increased mobility buff or stamina buff, and then that can be increased to 30% with his skill page as well. Then on to the best part of his kit, which is special skill or ultimate, which is Accelerated Assault, and this is going to be another single target skill, and this will basically grant Asta an extra turn when attacking an enemy whose HP is at 80% or above, whilst doing 150% of his attack as damage, and then he'll also get a 30% damage increase buff when attacking bosses. So this ultimate is basically what brings Asta's whole kit together, as allowing him to have an extra turn really ups his one-shotting potential and makes him very, very consistent. And then I quickly just wanted to touch on his combined attack, as currently the Noel's Rage event, I believe that's what it's called, is currently out, and his combined attack could actually be potentially useful for it, as he is a combined attack. Now basically he'll attack after removing an enemy's barrier and then do some damage of equal to 75% of his own attack, which I think is actually pretty useful, so just keep that in mind as well. It's another thing that makes him actually pretty decent. And then his passives are nothing like too crazy, just gets a 4% increased attack at the start of every turn that he takes, which is going to be able to stack up to 4 times. It's great. And then he has an enhanced passive, which is going to be a 12% increased attack for 2 turns at the start of every wave. So there you have it. That is the best way that you can possibly build Season 1 Asta currently. So if you enjoyed the video or it helps you, then make sure you like and subscribe and drop a comment down below whether it helps you or not. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.